I'm Maiga Ayub Hussein, and I'm a PhD fellow, and I hold a bachelor's in nursing, advanced diploma, health service management, monitoring and evaluation, and I also hold a master's in epidemiology. And basically, I concentrated in a field epidemiology. So today we are going to go through this session, but I would like also Dr. Said to introduce himself, and then I can kick start it off. Yes, Dr.
Yes,
Said.
greetings everyone. My name is Said Intambi. Yeah, and I will be one of the trainers today. Thank you.
You're welcome. So as we go on, when we talk about a literature, it's just research or any work piece of work that has been done and actually is specific to your topic that you're actually investigating. So people have done studies probably in relation to what you want to study, or it could be slightly different from what you want to study, but you can pick a leaf from them. Okay, it may not be the whole thing, the whole topic as it was studied, but you pick out statements from his study. Okay, so why do we actually need to even do literature? Okay, or literature review? Why do we need to find out, to evaluate researchers, some other person's work? So in so doing, you actually making yourself understand. Okay, you making yourself understand more about your study, and also understand more, gaining more knowledge about your study. And how do we do it? Actually, there is no strategy, there is no specific strategy of finding out literature, but I can tell you, like today, you might get some other strategies, some many more strategies that you can use. However, we are not assuring you that these are the only strategies, but a combination of these can actually help you dig out relevant literature. And as you looking out for literature, you need to put a couple of things into consideration, like the keywords. What keywords am I looking for? Okay, or what keywords are in my topic? What keywords are in my research question? I'll be giving simple examples. If you have a question like causes of surgical site infection, so the word causes is not a keyword, but surgical site infection is a keyword. Okay, you look out for synonyms. What other words can be used? The word surgical site infection can be used. Some other studies may not mention surgical site infection, but they may mention something like wound infection to mean the same thing as a synonym for that. So what type of study are you looking out for? Are you looking out for a cross-sectional study? Are you looking out for cohort studies? Are you looking out for cross-sectionals, case control? Are you looking out for clinical trials? So you should be also in consideration in your mind about the type of study that you want to actually dig out information from. The other is the subject headings. I've given an example of a subject heading like wound infection is a subject heading, or sepsis. Okay, and also you also look out for the variant spelling of certain words in your research question. Okay, let me give an example of the word behavior. Behavior is spelled differently, okay, by different people. So if you're looking out for, maybe let me give an example of behavior changes among youths, among youths attending maybe secondary school. So the word behavior could have variant kind of spellings. So you also need to look out for them. You need to consider them as you're looking for relevant literature. So what could be the steps? What should I need to do? Or so you've gotten this question of yours, the topic. You need to just also define the topic. You need to define the topic and also define your research question as the first steps in actually doing a literature review. So I'm going to be giving out like an example. I did a study about surgical site infection. So let me use that. It could be a little simpler for us to understand. So surgical, if my background, I've read about surgical site infections, and these probably are infections that come up after somebody has been operated. Okay. So my question here in my background is probably surgical site infection are associated to maybe antibiotic practices or consumption of antibiotics. So the background of my study is if somebody doesn't take probably antibiotics, or when he takes antibiotics, there's higher chances that this person may develop surgical site infection. So that is the background that I'm having. Okay. So identify the keywords in that background or the definition of your topic. Surgical site infections, and also I've also talked about cesarean section. Okay. So you definitely see that those are some of the keywords I'm picking out from my background study. Okay. But however, the word surgical site infection can be used elsewhere, can have some other synonyms. Give an example of wound infection. Okay. So wound infection could be a synonym for surgical site infection. Cesarean section could also be having a synonym like maybe operation delivery. So I've also noted that one down. So the next step is you use the title of the research or into this framework. Okay. You can either use the keyword. Actually, I prefer using the word keyword. You pick out the keywords and then you framework. You feed them into the PICOS framework, or what we call the SPIDER framework. The PICOS framework, I don't know whether you've heard about it, but it's just an abbreviation for population, intervention, comparator, outcome.
Is that
It's written as PICO. Please, if you're there, can you mute yourself? Please mute yourself.
It was me.
So PICOS means or stands for population, intervention, comparator, outcome, and also S stands for either study design, or it can also stand for setting. Okay. Then the SPIDER also can also be used. I've actually put those here. That is the sample, the phenomenon of interest, the design, the evaluation, and also the research design. Okay. So the PICOS helps you it guides you on the scope, on the keywords that you've picked out. How broad are them? So you're going to think about your PICOS as you actually derive synonyms, derive the different spellings for the certain keywords that you've picked. So if I'm going to make here a sketch of a PICO. So let me give an example of surgical site infection. I'm still going to use the same example. Surgical site infection and the association maybe to antibiotic practices, or antibiotic practices and association to surgical site infection are following cesarean section. So cesarean sections are done on mothers or women. Okay. So under my population, I can put women. Okay. I'm trying to use the PICOS, women or female. So those two words can stand in for a population. Okay. Then the intervention here could be surgical, could be the intervention. I can give antibiotic practice. Okay. Antibiotic practices. Okay. And then the comparator, comparator of my intervention, you could not, some studies have a comparator, or what you can call as a control. Some other studies don't have. So if I don't have a comparator, I can leave it there. Then what could be the outcome? So the outcome here is the surgical site infection that we are talking about, or the wound infection. Okay. And then what could be the studies that I'm looking at? I could be looking at maybe cross-sectionals and case control. Okay. So under S, under study, I can put cross-sectional and case control. Okay. So that is when you're using the PICOS. That is how you derive it. So it has given you the keywords that under population I'm having women or female. Under my intervention is antibiotics practices or antibiotic use. Then under a comparator, I don't have a comparator. Under the outcome is surgical site infection. And under the S, which is the study design, I could be interested in a case control or cross-sectional studies. Okay. So after picking out your keywords using the framework, what next is identify the source from where you're going to actually get the literature from the sources you're going to pick out these articles. So the sources could be books, okay, could be books in a library, could be journals, could be reports, could be websites, okay. And journals, you definitely know we usually find them under a database like Google Scholar, Web of Science, Scopus Medline, and PubMed, okay. So after identifying the source to where you're going to get the literature from all these articles from, and then you can input your PICOS, okay? And we shall get into that. So the next step after deriving all that, knowing the source, is now entering your keywords into the database, and that's when you can get literature. Why it is marked red is because we are now going to, our concentration for this time or for this session is going to be much more on to conduct literature using the techniques, and that is the reason majority of you are here. What techniques can I use to actually get relevant literature? And after collecting the literature, you need to do what we call sieving, or you colorate which articles do you need and which ones don't you need, okay? Because not all the articles that you actually get from the literature review that you actually need them. Some of them may be older, maybe more than 10 years or 15 years, and you may not actually need to use them because they're not up to date. Some other articles could be having the same words that you're looking out for surgical site infection, but it's surgical site infection not after cesarean section. It could be road traffic accident, okay? And yet you're looking out for surgical site infection following a cesarean section. So those need to be filtered out, and you actually don't need them. So that is when, that is under the coloration search results, that you need to look out for relationship between these articles that you've looked out for, and then you see which ones are relevant or which ones are focusing onto the study that you want to. So the different tools that we can use to actually dig out for relevant literature, we've now dived into the one of them, and one of them is the manual search, okay? So the manual search works in a way that you actually just do a survey of the table of content. You've had these books, you've been in the library and you want to read about maybe cell division, and you don't actually open the whole book page by page looking out to where which page is cell division, but you just open up to the table of content and you look at where cells are, and then you look at the subdivisions under cells where there is cell division. Or if you want to look at mitosis or meiosis, then you actually look out for which page is mitosis. You find it out maybe on page 20, so you go directly to page 20. So that is what we call the manual search, okay? So manual search is done in that manner, okay? So hand searching, or you peruse through the references. The other way is you go through the references and then you look out for the references that you feel are relevant to your study of interest. So that is what we call manual searching, and I'm pretty sure that majority of you have done this, have actually gone through this while you are pursuing your undergrad, your postdoctoral course. So the other method or the other advanced tool that you can use to search for relevant literature, I am not taking you away from what we are actually trying to dive in. What we are trying to know is how can I get literature that is actually focused onto my study of interest in the shortest time possible. Because if actually you are taking a lot of time looking out for literature, it demoralizes you. So the next other method is citation chaining, or what some other people call as reference mining. So citation chaining is where you download an article probably that is recent, okay? Right now we are in 2024. There are very many articles that have been released in 2024. So if I want an article of, if I download an article of 2024, it simply means the references in this article, if it was very well referenced, it has articles that are actually not more than 10 years ago. Okay, so it could be having references that are actually maybe from around like 2014 up to date. Okay, so I can just go to the citations of that article. If it is talking about surgical site infection or wound infection, and my study is also focusing on that same topic, this only article can actually get me a couple of other articles that are related to this study of my interest. Okay, so what I do, whatever citation that is in there, I can chain it. What I mean by citation chaining is you look out for the citation, you go down and look out for the reference, and then you download that reference as an article, a new article that you will consider. Look out for reference for citation 2, go to the references, mine the reference there, put it in a Google Scholar or PubMed, and then download that article, because that article is relevant to your study. So you actually peruse through and see whether it's relevant. But most of the time, the article is relevant given the fact that it is cited in an article that is actually of your interest. Okay, so that is what we call citation chaining. If I repeat, you pick out an article, and then this article, you look down to the references, and then these references, you actually pick out the references that are of your interest or are focused to your topic. Okay, so that is citation chaining. So you can do what we call a backward search or a forward search. So for the backward search is what I explained earlier, that you have an article right now, then you go and look out for the references that are actually in it, but they were some time ago, articles that were done some time ago. So for the forward referencing is you look out for that article, okay, and then you go into Google Scholar and look out for other articles that have cited that article that you're using. Okay, it definitely means that the articles that have cited the article you're using are actually forward. That means they are publishing the article you're using, and it means as a reference, it simply means that those articles are current as compared to the one you're using. So that is what you call a forward search. So it can either it can take both ways. It can either be a backward search or a forward search. I hope that is clear. Okay. Then the other is the other advanced tool for searching relevant literature is what we call the theme searching. Relevant literature is literature can be found anywhere, but relevant literature you need to have techniques of finding it, because literature is there, but what is relevant for your study, you need to actually have techniques of finding it. So the other method of finding relevant literature is theme mining. So here in theme mining, you go to an advanced search, give an example of PubMed, give an example of Midline. So these are what I've seen with Midline. Midline has what we call the mesh terms. Okay, mesh terms are medical subject headings. So these medical subject headings can guide you, and in so doing, they focus your search. Let me give an example of what you've seen here. Occupational health. or health occupation. So if you put in PubMed or in Midline health occupations, you may realize that they will give you a lot of literature. Okay. So what the subheadings do, you actually go to a subheading of the population of your interest. Probably now give an example like the one I put here, health occupations, and then what I want is nursing. Okay. I don't know whether it's clear. Yes. Health occupations, and what I want from health occupations, I'm focusing on the nurses. So nursing is what we call a subject heading. So some database have such what we call as a subject heading. However, some don't have. So subject headings are also important in a manner that when you're also writing your article for publications, try to see that in your keywords you put what we call subject heading. Okay? You pick up what we call subject headings. Subject headings help other people to search. As they search, they can easily see your article. Okay? So as you're going to publish, look out for the keywords that have been used in that area, and you also use them. Let me give you an example. We are writing a study that is going to be done in a hospital, and they're trying to look out for the use of medical registries, okay? Healthcare registries, the electronic healthcare registries. However, not many of the database, or not many of the literature actually talks about as electronic health registries, but it has what we call health information systems. Okay. So as you also write your article, you can pick out this word, the subject heading or the key, and put it in the keyword. So as we are writing on healthcare registries, we actually put health information systems under our keywords, and we shall talk about it because it is what has been mostly used. So in case somebody searches for health information systems, he can actually also find our study that actually talks about healthcare electronic registries. Okay. So subject headings are important in that manner, that as you also a researcher, you need also to be looking out for those keywords that have been used by some other people in case you want your article to be actually viewed as frequent as the others. Okay. So the next other is spider searching approach, or what we call as snowball or snowballing. Snowballing is little different from the previous one of citation chaining that I've discussed with you. So for snowball chain, for snowball or snowballing or spider searching, here are you, if you have an article that you feel that, oh, this article actually talks about what I want, or it is relevant for my study, okay, then what you can do, you explore the references of that article. Okay, you look out for the references of that article, and then you actually now download those references as articles. So it is different in a manner that the other forward way of doing the spider searching, the forward spider searching, for it, you look out for the author. Yes, mute. So for spider searching, the forward spider searching, you look out for other publications of the same author. Okay. Personally, I'm basically on to maternal health. I do research.
Good afternoon. Now where?
You look out for my about probably site infections following cesarean section. The next other article you may find may also be talking about healthcare registries, healthcare electronic registries in maternal health. Okay, so researchers usually would prefer picking out a niche that describes us, and we actually go into that trend, that in case you're actually doing any maternal research, you can now contact me and they're like, Dr. Maega, I'm doing research on maternal health, and could you be part? Are you interested in this topic? We do it together. So as a researcher, you can try to pick out a niche that describes you or identifies you. Not mere jumping on every research that comes. People are doing research on veterinary medicine, you jump there, want to do it. People are doing a research on garbage disposal, you still want to do it. Okay. I'm not discouraging you, but you could be it could be nicer when you find out a niche of interest or a niche that identifies you. So the other is the other advanced tool of finding out relevant literature is what we call truncation and use of wildcards. Okay. So the truncation or what we usually use in as we're trying to do the truncation, we use what we call the asterisk symbol. But truncation actually helps you to identify those words that actually have multiple endings, or words that can be singular and plural, and you want actually an article to cover both the different spellings of this word, okay, or the singular and the plural form of this word. Let me give an example of the one I used here, therapy. Okay, so if I use the word therapy and I put the asterisk mark up there, the search drive will actually give me articles that have the word therapy, therapies, therapist, and therapists. Okay, so the truncation helps you to find out those other words that have multiple endings, or those that are singular and plural. Okay, then we also have the wildcards. Wildcards can help you to identify those words that have variant spellings. Give an example of the word like behavior. Okay, at the same time, they can also help you to retrieve probably words that maybe like are joined, but you want to they're joined in a different manner. Okay, like the one I've showed you here below, a responsibility and probably, let me give you an example: responsibility and engagement, responsibility and productivity. Okay, so you can put the asterisk in between there, so that after responsibility, so that it can generate responsibility and probably productivity, responsibility, and peace, things like that. Okay, so that's when you use the wildcard or asterisk in the wild as a wildcard, or we use the wildcard of a question, or and the other wildcard of a question mark is actually used when you have variation in the spellings, as the word behavior is right there. So the other advanced tool is the use of the Boolean logic, or what we call as Boolean operators. So the Boolean operators, for today we are going to discuss the three most used Boolean operators. So we have not, or, and. Okay? So I try to derive for you the logic behind the Boolean operator. So when you use not, okay, it simply means you've negated or eliminated the next search. Let me give an example. If you want to search A, not B, you'll definitely get only articles that have A. Okay? The example I can give, if I want to search surgical site infection and I put human, not animal, so definitely all the articles that I will be getting will only be for human, not animal. Okay, then that's when you use not. So not will actually make will exclude and actually make your search narrow. Okay, then if I use the Boolean operator and, it will give me the intersection of these two, animal and human. Okay, so it will give me an article that has both. Okay, it has both animal and human, and it will actually exclude those that have only animal and those that only have human. So it will give me the intersection, or the articles that I will actually get will be those that have both animal and human. So that means my search has been narrowed to only animal and human. When I use the Boolean operator or, give an example of animal or human, it will give me both those articles that have animal or that were done in animals and those articles that were done in humans. So that means I hope I'm clear. That means, oh, my network had jammed, somebody had disrupted it. So if I use the word, the Boolean operator or, it definitely means that I've broadened my search, because I'll be having the either results. Animal, I'll have those articles that have animal, those that have animal and human, and those that only have human. Okay? So that's how Boolean operators are used. Is that clear? Then I'm going to call in Dr. Said, and I want Dr. Said to briefly summarize this, and I'm going to go into a simple practical session to show you how this is literally done. And I think we may call it a day. So Dr. Said, you can come on and give a brief summary, and then I can proceed with the practicum. Thank you. Dr. Said, are you there?
Yes, thank you very much.
Welcome.
So basically what we've seen today is how to search for relevant literature, where and how to effectively review literature, strategies for getting the relevant literature, the proper methods for getting the relevant literature. So first of all, literature review is an overview of previously published work on your topic. And it is important to review literature because it serves as a foundation for your research by providing context, supporting your argument, supporting what you're trying to bring out. Then where exactly can we get literature? I think Mr. Ayub has already said we get it on online databases such as the PubMed, the Google Scholar, the Explorer, and so on and so forth. We can also get it from university libraries and catalogs, institutional repositories. Right now, I see almost all the institutions have repositories for their work. Then we can also get from journals, from conference proceedings, from specialized websites and forums. Sometimes literature can also be got from personal statements. Maybe we could see that some other time. How to effectively review the literature? Mr. Ayub has already mentioned all the ways, using keywords, using the Boolean operators, using the truncation and wildcards, and also sometimes we can also use filters and advanced searches. He also mentioned citation chaining. Then how can we, how is the process? The process, first of all, is collecting or gathering relevant articles, gathering books and other sources from your search, for your search. So you're not going to just begin reviewing literature without, first of all, gathering the information that you need, gathering the sources that you need to use. Then read in depth for each source. Try to read, because you might refer to a source just because you saw one statement, yet that source is contrary to what you're trying to do. So you have to read and understand what exactly is the article talking about. Then summarize what you've read. After summarizing, identify the key themes, recognizing recurring themes and concepts or arguments. Then I think we've seen so much about the different methods. Yeah, so these methods are important because let's take an example of, maybe if you have a pen, you can write this 1 + 2 × 3. When you're searching for literature, you're actually looking for one answer. You're not looking for a lot of articles, including those that don't have what you want. But the question 1 + 2 × 3, you could all have different answers. 1 + 2 × 3, someone could say the answer is 7. That person is correct. Then 1 + 2 × 3, another person could say the answer is 9. But both answers are correct. But what you're looking for when you're searching for literature, you're looking for just one answer. You're not looking for both 7 and 9. You're just looking for either 7 or 9. So when you input in your search engine, and you input information that is not specified, you'll end up getting confused with the articles that you get. But when you use these tools like Boolean operators and say that I need, let's say I need margarine and peanut butter, you need both of them. So it will give you articles that have both of them. Or say I need margarine or peanut butter. It will give you those that have either both, those that have either one of them. And then if you say, I need margarine and not peanut butter, it won't give you any article having peanut butter. It will give you only articles that have margarine. And then you have a nice start. You're not going to suffer with a lot of documents, with a lot of articles to look through. So I think that is all we've done today. Maybe we can go back to Mr. Ayub for the practical. Thank you.
If people are asking questions, have we really gotten something? Have we understood something? Has this session been helpful to your knowledge and understanding?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has been
so helpful.
So helpful.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So the numbers down there are our numbers, and that is the website, and that is the email